So I'm coming into work and I have the radio on and I hear the big news that Paschal Donohoe is going to the World Bank.
Yeah.
And he is stepping down as a TD and, Dublin Central. It was all in a bit of a blur. And I was just thinking, is that the same? Oh yeah, Paschal Donohoe was in the same area that Gerry Hutch ran in. And then I'm listening and I'm not a very political person, but I'm hearing...
Because arguably Gerry Hutch was in the same constituency. Our Minister for Finance was how most people would think of it.
Yeah, the other way around. Okay.
Yeah.
But anyway, then they're talking about a by-election. It's going to be so we're going to all have to go to people in that area are going to have to go to the polls again. And presumably then I was thinking, if you were Gerry Hutch and you had been just pipped to the post of getting a seat, would you consider that it is a good idea to try again and see if you can get that same vote and get in? And also then, what happens with this cap bill?
Yeah.
Because he's a bill to the revenue for 800,000 nearly hanging over him now. We don't know if he actually physically had that demand at the time he last ran in elections. And also, he more than likely is going to run, isn't he? Well, I would think.
Well, I mean, I think what happened in the last election was that Paschal Donohoe got about 5,500 votes, and that was enough to get him elected. He was second to Mary Lou. But yeah, would he run again? I mean, I predicted he wouldn't run the last time, didn't I? And I was wrong. But yeah, I mean,
I think he will.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, right? I'm just going to preface that by saying I do not know, but I think he will run again.
Yeah.
I think he will. I think he will come home. How is he going to run a campaign if he does run?
Well, I mean, I suppose the same way he did last time is the answer. I mean,
the people's choice kind of a...
Yeah. So it's a very different election because you had a multi-seat constituency the last time. This would be a single seat. So it's a really like a head-to-head contest, I suppose. And, if you look at it, there was a wide spread of votes the last time.
Yes.
And Gerry Hutch got just over 3,000 first preferences. But that was quite a lot.
Was that broken down into the smaller areas?
Well, that was overall. He got about 3,100. And then he picked up quite a lot of transfers all over.
Right.
But if you ask me now, is chances when you just have one single person, getting elected.
Yeah.
There's still a big sort of middle class vote there, and that's not going to be...
Depends, but who else is put up?
Well,
because, the Gary Gannon was also talking about that his party, the Social Democrats.
Well done.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Leave that in.
Yeah.
His party, the Social Democrats, would have at least 3 councillors that they would consider putting forward, and others, and
exactly. And obviously, Mary Lou personally got 6,500 or whatever votes, but there'll still be a strong Sinn Féin candidate.
But presumably you're not going to get the same turnout for a by-election. No, you going to get the more politically aware
Well, it just means that the vote transfers don't matter as much, I suppose. Right. They still do matter, obviously, as candidates get.
So this is like part 2.
This is part 2.
This is series 2.
Except the context is always different.
Yeah.
So the cab bill has been served on him. Last time he was coming out on the back of being found not guilty in the Regency murder trial.
Well, he was coming out on the back of being arrested in Lanzarote for money laundering and for being put in jail and getting bail. He paid for that bail 100,000, got his passport back and came home and put in his papers here to go for election, and did impressively well. I think everybody could...
No doubt about it. There was a huge...
So the cab bill, it's a revenue bill. It's not a proceeds of crime bill. It's between the years 2006 and 2010. We only wrote about it and spoke about it this week in the podcast. I wouldn't imagine he's going to want to pay that, or is certainly...
Well, he won't want to pay it, for sure.
No one does, but I mean, it can take a long time to extract that kind of money out of people. And what does that mean? Because does that mean that he is in a position that he can run for election, but that if he gets elected, he can't take his seat? Because if you owe money like that to the revenue, essentially to the state, you got to clear that bill before you're allowed into Dáil Éireann to take your seat.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you can have criminal record and all of that and get elected. Those things aren't a barrier. There's plenty of people in the Dáil with criminal records. But yeah, there's certain restrictions. And then obviously he'll have to declare his income in a way that if he was to be elected. But I think
what do you mean by that? Because he didn't totally declare his income the last time.
No, but if you're elected,
if he was to be elected,
if you were to be elected
and to take your seat,
yes, and then that would become a matter for, well, I think it's a criminal matter if you misdeclare your assets and things like that. But you obviously have to be elected first. Like, why did people vote for Gerry Hutch? I mean, that's what we come back to.
And that's
why did they vote last time?
Trying to dig down into. So it's excellent timing in a way.
So, I mean, why did they? I mean, did they vote for him as, obviously he has people that know him and think well of him, but he got votes from across the constituency, people that would have never met him. So why did those people vote for it? Well, you have to say it's a protest vote of a type. In some of those cases, at least, there will be the local community, and obviously he polled best in the North Inner City where he's based and knew people, but he also did quite well in parts of the constituency people that would never have had any personal dealings with him. So
I have to say, right, and again, I'm saying I'm not a political animal at all, but I do think that what brought him very far was his celebrity.
Of course, and does that celebrity follow through in another election? Because there is also a novelty factor, isn't there?
Well, would it follow through? Would it follow through stronger?
Well,
if there weren't so many other well-known candidates. Well, I mean, I'm sure anybody would find that horrific, that Paschal Donohoe, with the political career he's had and the steady pair of hands he was really on the Irish economy. He's obviously so well thought of that he's after getting this massive big job, number 2 in the World Bank, etc. Very bright guy. The idea that somebody could step into his shoes, somebody like Gerry Hutch would step into his shoes, might horrify many people, or that even a celebrity could step into his shoes would horrify many. But I suppose you're not going to have a like with like anyway. You're not going to have another Paschal Donohoe. No. Another Paschal Donohoe could be there somewhere in the Dáil, but they need to be brought along given the various portfolios and have, I suppose, the background that he does in economics, etc.
Yeah, well, look, they're going to obviously Fine Gael will stand the candidate, but you have to look at, like, the Gerry Hutch vote was a massive, massive shock to people even within that constituency. It's a constituency where I'm from, so I do know it, and it's the more, it's a much stronger, radical sort of constituency, really, because you have left-leaning parties doing very well overall. One of the few constituencies in Ireland probably where they're a majority if you add it all up. And there definitely is a protest vote, but, it was a real novelty to see Gerry Hutch pictures going up. I mean, obviously some people were particularly horrified by it as well, but even that was a novelty. The second time around, is that going to be the case? I don't think it will. Now, he certainly is no less famous than he was whatever it was last year, but I don't know. I would think that it will struggle because if you look at the overall vote in the whole constituency and you add it up, I don't know what the final total is. I'll look that up now, but it's going to be more divided. So, yeah, I predict no election.
You predict he's not going to run, you mean?
I mean, I think he'd be crazy to run, to be honest. I think I really do. I think that.
I think he's going to run. We'll just put it there. We'll put a tenner each on it, will we?
Well, and, okay.
What was I going to say to you? We have been caught up in the last 2 elections, right? Do you think? Could we just stay out of it?
Well, look, I think it's we're at an interesting point, I think, in politics, right? Where whatever way you look at politics in this country, you have the establishment, which Paschal Donohoe was really perfectly represented that if you want. Now, by all accounts, on a personal level, a really, really decent sort of person, but very middle of the road kind of politician. And then you have this other group of people that are disenfranchised in this country. And Dublin Central kind of has both of those two constituencies there. It has Paschal Donohoe, who did well in Fibsra and places like that are very, very middle class, cappuccino drinking, sandal wearing sort of hipster types, but also just, very wealthy homes in that area. And Dublin Central then also has the North Inner City and the deprivation that still exists in part of that. Now you have another you have a lot of disenfranchisement, and Gerry Hutch captured a lot of that vote. But whether...
Do you still don't think he's run? Put the tenner on the table here, please.
I put that he'll run or that he'll...
I should have said 100.
Well, I'll put a tenner on.
Yeah.
But I will say again...
Put a tenner on that he won't run, and I'm...
Yeah, and I will put a tenner...
So I'll just get a tenner then?
Well...
my own tenner back?
You get the whole 20 quid.
You'll get 10 times 10.
No, you don't get 10. No, you don't get odds. But... it's like the novelty factor, right? If you just think about this, right, and you work in the media, like if the Guardian and the New York Times and all these places that did these articles, which were one-off articles about a reputed gangland figure running for election, if they come back the second time, they're not going to be the same type of articles, are they? They're going to be much, much harder. Do you not think?
I don't know. I think it's a little bit...
Think about yourself as a journalist, how things are covered.
You're not going to get the same treatment.
You're not.
A second time round.
No.
What was the treatment?
Well,
because a lot of the treatment was, firstly, we were criticised because we carried out an interview with him on the podcast, okay? Yeah. But the treatment of him was also largely to ignore him and he'll go away. And that was the a lot of it was the RTEs and
Yeah, it was, but...
The more highbrow media, shall we say.
Yeah.
So, do they ignore him a second time?
No, they don't ignore him the second time because the last story carries through to the new one, which is he nearly got elected. Now you have to...
Take him seriously.
But also, by taking him seriously, you have to absolutely go for the jugular, I suppose, because there's no point in doing a second novelty story. So the Guardian come over, they're not going to do, wow, he's back again.
Why would the Guardian go for the jugular with him?
Well, they just will. That's the way the media works, because the novelty...
Hand dogs.
Initially there's a novelty factor. And yeah, that's just my opinion.
Yeah, okay. And well, look, I can tell you we're going to be back to this one. I'm Nicola Tallant and you're watching Crime World, a podcast about criminals, drugs and the underworld in Ireland and across the globe. Make sure you subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you can be the first to watch all our latest episodes. You can also listen wherever you get your podcasts.